Our selection today will be Step Out.
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is used to, Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we look at the things that Yahweh has written concerning the children of Israel, there is great expectation because of the great things that we were shown and the great things that were given unto us. There's the one thing that only Israel stood before the mount and received these lively oracles. But because of that, that also makes the weight upon the children of Israel heavier than it is on anybody else on the face of the earth. And without understanding of why that happens, our people get to or end up watching television and developing some form of low self-esteem about themselves, with not knowing that there's a reason behind the things that we have been made to suffer. Our children even have these issues where they receive some low self-esteem in their schooling. Back in the days when you went to school, all of the teachers were people from that community, so they had some form of stock, if you will, in the education of those children. The way things have been done now, you have people that don't live anywhere in the area and have absolutely nothing in common with the students that they are teaching. So the way that they teach those students is going to be dealt with in a totally different way. The school that I went to as a child, there were teachers in that same school that had taught my aunts, uncles, and a few, even my mother. So when you're dealing with a situation like that, the expectation goes along with the things that they know to be consistent with your family. They know your family. So when you go in and try to half do a test or half do something, they already know the expectation, because this teacher then knows your parents. They know your mama and your daddy. They already know that you half doing it, and they know to put that weight where that weight needs to be. And when it comes down to saying, oh, they may need a little help in this area. Why? Because I know their parents. So when there's a certain amount of knowledge and understanding, then it makes it a way for you to understand what the expectation is. A lot of us went to put our kids in homeschool thinking that, hey, we wouldn't suffer some of the same things that we suffered in brick and mortar school. But now they have started to do some of those same things. You may have a child in homeschool whose teacher is in Wisconsin and the child in Georgia. That actually makes that hidden racism even easier, because they can send messages to some of those children about the lesson that they're about to have, and your child don't receive those messages. And then your child gets one grade while every other child gets another grade. It will then help to reinforce the stereotype that other people are better than you. These are the things that we have to fight, alongside understanding that there is a greater expectation for the children of Israel. So then when we get off the beaten path, we always get punished more than other people. And if you do not understand what that expectation is, you will label it something else. You will end up letting it bring you down in an area where you're not supposed to be down. It is just that expectation of Yahweh for his children. Let's begin today's sermon in 1 Samuel chapter 3. And we're going to read a couple of chapters here, because there's some things that sometimes you need to understand a block of a story. And if you jump from place to place, there's some other things that you may not get in dealing with that particular issue. This is why I very seldom read without finishing a chapter. And sometimes a real chapter is you may start in the middle of one and read to the middle of another. So we can't just think because, they ended the chapters there, that's where the end of the thought was. Sometimes the end of that thought is not the end of that chapter. 1 Samuel chapter 3, and let's start that at verse 1.
And the child Samuel ministered unto Yahweh before Eli. And the word of Yahweh was precious in those days. There was no open vision.
Now, the first thing we have to do is understand the setup of where we're beginning here. There's no vision. Eli is the head priest. He has sons that are doing things that they're not supposed to do, but he has not disciplined those children. In result, there is no open vision. They're not getting any direction from Yahweh. And Eli, as a child, is being brought. Samuel is being brought to be a replacement for Eli, but he's being brought as a child. Now, understand the framework of how that happened. Remember, we read the situation about Hannah's prayer in Bible study, that she's being have become an adversary because she's in a multiple marriage, but she can't produce any kids. The other woman is producing kids. She has not produced any kids. She is down on herself. She's going through all of these things. It then pushes her to make a vow. She says, if you would give me a man child, I will give the child back to you. I just need to provide a child within this union. Boom. Yahweh is holding this until she makes this vow. She makes this vow. She then is able to produce children. Not just this child. She is able to have more children after that. But had she been fruitful to start with, she never would have made the vow. And we never would have had one of the greatest prophets that Israel has ever heard of. All of that is coming from the turmoil that another woman is getting because she wasn't able to produce a child. This is how Samuel got into this scenario. So understand the framework of what's happening here and why there's even a child amongst Eli. Okay? That child is there because of all of this situation. So the turmoil that she was going through within this multiple marriage had absolutely nothing to do with her or him or the other wife. It had something to do with her making this vow. And once she made the vow, boom, the real story began. Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 2. And it came to pass at that time when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. And the lamp of Elohim went out in the temple of Yahweh, where the Ark of Elohim was. And Samuel was laid down to sleep.
What do we know about the lamp of Elohim? It ain't supposed to go out. So there's certain things that are within line by line that if you just read and keep going, you're not getting all of the framework of what's really happening. So you got first statement, no open vision. So Yahweh ain't talking to nobody. Then you got the light then went out. Put all of that in there. Don't just skip by that. Go ahead.
The Yahweh called Samuel, and he answered, Here am I.
No open vision. Light goes out. Now Yahweh talking to the child. You got to put all of these things together so that you understand what's actually taking place. These things that seem like they're not important, these are the most important parts of the story. It is very deep that he would be talking to the child after the light go out and there's no open vision. The head priest, the high priest, is getting nothing from Yahweh. Light goes out and he starts talking to the child. Go ahead.
And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for you called me. And he said, I called you not, lie down again. And he went and laid down. And Yahweh called yet again, Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for you did call me. And he answered, I called not, my son, lie down again.
Right, now, Eli hadn't heard this in quite some time. So Eli is confused right away. He don't even know. He keeps saying, boy, go back to bed. This ain't happening to him. Go ahead.
Now Samuel did not yet know Yahweh.
Pause. The vow was made specifically for this boy. All right? He was born and given to the priesthood. Okay? He is being raised by the high priest. Okay? He was brought and dropped off when he was weaned. Okay? So he's been there. Yet the word says he does not know Yahweh. There's probably some people who've been going to this church for years. They don't know Yahweh. There's some people who you done seen around here. And you think you done seen them for a while. They don't know Yahweh. Go ahead.
Now Samuel did not yet know Yahweh, neither was the word of Yahweh yet revealed unto him.
Right, he was around the word. Right. See, when I say that, people are like, oh, see, so I made up one of his little anecdotes again. Right. Go ahead.
And Yahweh called Samuel again the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for you did call me. And now Eli perceived that Yahweh had called the child.
Now, it's something just clicked now. Go ahead.
Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lie down. And it shall be, if he call you, that you shall say, Speak, Yahweh, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place.
So he was sent there for him to be trained, even though Eli's not doing the things that he's supposed to do. Eli can train him on what he's supposed to do. See, it was something in Eli's heart that wouldn't allow him to discipline his own child. There was nothing wrong with Eli's knowledge. Eli never had a false doctrine, a misunderstanding. No, Eli understood exactly what was going on. And he said it. I hear of all the evil that you have done to these people. He knew it, but he left them right there at the door. But it wasn't confusion. Go ahead.
And Yahweh came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for your servant hears. And Yahweh said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that hears it shall tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house.
Right. The things concerning Eli's house has already been spoken. This is not some mystery. Eli already know that Yahweh is bringing him judgment because of the things that he has allowed in his house. Eli himself didn't do it. But all the things that you allow in your house, you are held responsible for in your house as if you yourself did it. If a murder happened in your house and you did nothing about it, you murdered them. If the worship of other gods goes on in your house and you allow it, you worshiping other gods. Go ahead, brother.
When I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the lawlessness which he knows, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not.
Yahweh doesn't leave any room for you to try to figure it out. It wasn't any mystery there. He know exactly what this is. See, but we think that's love. We do the same thing with friends. We love them. So we're not going to tell them, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. But we think that's love. If you loved them, you would have told them in the middle of the shindig, hey, why are these idols hanging in your house? I thought you were Hebrew. What the hell is that? What is this? Ain't that Egyptian? But we love people, right? We love them right to death. Read, brother.
And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli that the lawlessness of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever. And Samuel lay until the morning, and opened the doors of the house of Yahweh. And Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. And he said, What is the thing that Yahweh had said unto you?
Look, he don't even want to say Yahweh talked to him. See, most people, when they say, I talked to God last night, they can't wait to tell everybody until what was said against the person that you want to talk to. He already know, look, man, I know you talked to Yahweh. Tell me what he said. Go ahead.
I pray, hide it not from me. Elohim do so to you, and more also, if you hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto you. And Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from him. And he said, It is Yahweh. Let him do what seems him good. And Samuel grew, and Yahweh was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground.
Do you understand what that means? He let none of his words fall to the ground. If Samuel said something, if it was going to go to the left, Yahweh changed the direction so Samuel could be right. If Samuel said, hey, man, if you do that, something bad going to happen to you, it might not have even been something that was going to be bad that'll happen. But when Samuel said something bad going to happen. Because Yahweh does things so he can establish his servant. So you'll know, hey, man, that boy, that's somebody we should probably listen to. You know, long time ago, when we brought this situation, and see, sometimes we have selective amnesia. When something starts, it may be a year and a half, 2 years before it finishes. We forget the things that were said in the beginning. When people sit back and they start to meditate on some words and they say, you know what? At the end of this thing, it has taken 2 years. But do you know what happened? Exactly what he said was going to happen 2 years ago. That's how Yahweh established his servant. Go ahead.
You know, like you always said, the same Israel then, the same Israel today. we know what Moshe could do. They saw what Moshe could do. Still, they went against him. We'll sit here, we'll tell people about our experiences and what we've seen happen to people. And people still.
And they go right ahead and do the same thing. And then be surprised. I can't believe it, man. Oh, I didn't even know that before I know it. I was out there howling at the moon. Right. That's exactly what we told you were going to be doing. Howling at the moon. It's like people got to howl at the moon themselves before they realize, man, they was right. That stuff will lead you right into howling at the moon. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of Yahweh.
They knew that because Yahweh wouldn't let any of his words fall to the ground. Go ahead.
And Yahweh appeared again in Shiloh, for Yahweh revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of Yah.
Understand now, there was a darkness of the word, the light done went out. Yahweh started talking to him as a child and then keep dealing with him all along this path of him growing up, while not dealing with the high priest at all. Go ahead.
And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched besides Ebenezer, and the Philistines pitched in Aphek.
Right. See, this when you talk about Ebenezer, these are things that our churches used to be named for in places in Israel that had meaning. Most of the people who went to Ebenezer don't even know what the name means. Because now we got all kind of, cute little names for churches. The Seraphim and Teraphim Church. What the hell does that mean? You name your church after winged fowl? The holy beast of the altar, church of God in Christ. What? Go ahead, bro.
It's interesting when you know who you are, and therefore you do that. Like you said, Ebenezer. I think in Loganville, I was in Loganville, and they've got a church, the Church of Corinth. And I'm like, it's in the right place.
Right. Corinth was in Greece. It was a Gentile church. They put the church in a Gentile area. It's a Gentile thing. We'll be going there and trying to figure out why we're getting the Gentile message. You went to the Church of Corinth. They would be confused the whole time. Go ahead.
And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Wherefore hath Yahweh smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of Yahweh out of Shiloh unto us, that when it comes among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies.
See, this is also a thing with Israel. We want to put our power in a thing, and Yahweh has already said, you shall not make these graven images, you shall not do these things. But then there's holy things that are holy things. We still make idols out of the holy things. So, because rather than us serving Yahweh to the full extent of our ability, we will still put the power in the thing. You wonder why we can't find the ark? Because Israel will be worshiping it. Exactly what he told us not to do, we still find a way to do it. Instead of putting our trust in him, we put our trust in the thing. Oh, yeah, the ark over here. We about to win now. Ooh. That's us. Not Yahweh is with us. We good. And let's do all of the things that we need to do to keep Yahweh amongst us. Nah, that's too much work. Let's just get the thing and keep the thing over there. See? And that way, whenever we lose, we look at the thing. All right, we start winning. Because we got the thing. There you go. See? Go ahead.
So the people sent to Shiloh, that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of Yahweh of hosts, which dwelt between the cherubims. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of Elohim.
Look at who with the ark of the covenant. Nasty and nastier. Jiggly and jigglier. Ooh, look at her. Boy, I bet we can squeeze her. This who with the ark? The ones who standing at the door squeezing on everybody. Holiest thing we got. And the whoremongers with it. They ain't marrying nobody. But they marrying somebody. Right. But they with the ark. Read, man.
And when the ark of the covenant of Yahweh came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout.
Yahweh has already said some things to Eli concerning his sons, right? Why the hell are they still with the ark? He said them things before. What he told to Samuel, all the things that I have said concerning Eli, I'm going to bring to pass. That means he had already told Eli. Why are they still around? We don't even know when to repent. Yahweh gives you an opportunity. He shows you, all right, oh, you know what? I did some stupidness. I'm going to back up. Man, there are people who have had life added unto them. Because once Yahweh pronounced some things, they then repented and backed up. Not us. We're going to keep going. We're some tough cookies. We're going to keep going in the same way. Go ahead.
So that the earth rang again. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, what mean the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of Yahweh was coming to the camp. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, Elohim is coming to the camp.
You see that? The heathen has connected the Ark of Elohim with Yahweh, and it's, hey, look, we don't need them to have no power. Even the heathen has respect over Yahweh's seat. This is where Yahweh communes with the children of Israel. The heathen has respect unto the seat. Go ahead.
And they said, woe unto us, for there has not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us! Who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty Elohims? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. Be strong and quit yourselves like men, O you Philistines, that you be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent. And there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. And the ark of Elohim was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. And there ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes rent, and with earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of Elohim. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, what means the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, what is there done, my son?
And people say, hey, 98, hey, it's understandable, why his eyes were dim. It said Moshe was 120 and all his strength was still there. Wasn't that wrong, Moshe eye? I try to get him his glasses, he give them back. What the hell I need those for? I see just fine. Go ahead.
And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there had been also a great slaughter among the people. And your two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of Elohim is taken. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of Elohim, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years.
So Yahweh let his rulership end. You'll find that most of them, when they were in charge, that lasted 40 years. Go ahead.
And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child, near to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of Elohim was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and travailed, for her pains came upon her. And about the time of her death, the women that stood by her said unto her, fear not, for you have borne a son. But she answered not, neither did she regard it. And she named the child Ishabad, saying, the glory is departed from Israel, because the Ark of Elohim was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband.
The glory is departed from Israel because the Ark of Elohim was taken. Go ahead.
And she said, the glory is departed from Israel, for the Ark of Elohim is taken. And the Philistines took the Ark of Elohim and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the Ark of Elohim, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon.
So the Philistines took the Ark of Elohim and brought it from Ebenezer. I wonder how many people who went to Ebenezer know that the Ark was there. Go ahead.
And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the Ark of Elohim, before the Ark of Yahweh, pardon me. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the Ark of Yahweh.
Right. Even Dagon knew to bow down before Yahweh. I don't have no problem telling people my God will kick your God tail. My God been your God. Go ahead.
And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of Yahweh was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the Ark of the Elohim of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand, is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God.
Now, they found that the Ark of Elohim is a thing of power, but what it also does is causes some issues if the folk ain't right. That's the part that we don't really want to deal with. That's why we all happy when the Ark show up, but then they like, all right, now we done with it. Take it back somewhere else. We don't want it around us, per se, because then we're going to have to act right, per se. Right. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at verse 4, when it talks about Dagon's head and the palm of his hands being cut off, like you said, even Dagon had enough sense to fall before Yahweh. Isn't that how you pray? You put them hands out,
Exactly.
right? He had his hands out praying, and Yahweh cut them hands off and that head off.
Bow down. Go ahead.
Verse 8, they sent therefore and gathered all the masters of the Philistines unto them, and said, what shall we do with the Ark of the Elohim of Israel? And they answered, let the Ark of the Elohim of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the Ark of Elohim of Israel about thither. And it was so, that after they had carried it about, the hand of Yahweh was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts.
So they having gross or like hemorrhoid type things in their secret areas. There ain't nothing that's going to motivate a man more than something wrong in his secretions. Oh, we need to fix this tonight. Go ahead.
Therefore they sent the Ark of Elohim to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the Ark of Elohim came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the Ark of the Elohim of Israel to us, to slay us and our people.
Right. They like looking at, hey man, now take that somewhere else. We don't want that. See, heathens even understand the power of our Elohim. No. Take that thing somewhere else. Now, this is normally something of value. When people see something of value, they steal. They start taking stuff. They're like, hey man, we don't want that. People say, oh man, this thing is shiny. No. Take that shiny thing somewhere else. Like enormous amounts of people start dying. We should already have like a thought process of what a pestilence is. Because we do wrong and then thousands of people die, but they can't put a name on it. See, our problem is here, these people name everything and they put it on TV every 5 minutes. So then we know, or we got a name for it. All we knew is the judgment of Yahweh. We don't have no name. We don't have no picture. Ain't nothing coming on every 10 minutes.
The pestilence of Yahweh has now killed 14,000. 8,000 are sick. Some have revived. More news at 11. 5 minutes later, the pestilence of Yahweh has struck again. We have the numbers for Georgia tonight. More news at 11.
Go ahead.
So they sent and gathered together all the masters of the Philistines and said, "Send away the ark of the Elohim of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of Elohim was very heavy there."
Right, that's all they know. The hand of Elohim. They don't even know what it is that's killing them. Ain't no vaccine for it. See, ain't no vaccine for the hand of Yahweh.
Hand of Yahweh is on us, man. Can you give me that? I need that Yahweh vaccine right there. Because I'm oh my goodness, I think I done caught that. Give me that shot.
Ain't no shot for it. But we ready to seek everything. Ain't no seeking going around the judgment of Yahweh. And I don't care what them people tell you. Them darn shots is what got us into most of these problems to start with. Go ahead, bro.
You know, if you watch the movie, after reading what we just read, you watch the movies, they got it looking glorious to go find a treasure map and go find Yahweh's Ark.
Right. Man, one of my favorite movies growing up was the Ark of the Lost Covenant.
Raiders
of the Lost Ark from your boy. Yeah, I know I mixed that all together. Who that? What the man name? The old white dude. He was Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
That was my joint. And they made about 8 of them. Every time you turn around, there was another one. They find something. They needed a knife. Then the knife, whoever get this, rule the world. Whoever got this, did that. Oh, man, them movies was off the chain. Them were blockbusters, Jack. I mean, real blockbusters. You had to go to Blockbuster and rent the movie. You know what I'm saying? That's when Blockbuster was still open. Them was the joints, bruh. I remember sitting there watching them, and my whole family was watching them movies, not knowing that they making a game out of our stuff. And I'm just sitting there. Mama, when we were going to watch the next one? It's your story. And they playing with you. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 12. And the men that died not were smitten with the emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven.
So there were some that died, and then the other ones, they left alive just so they can have, and I don't know if you know, hemorrhoids itch. And ain't that, you think about 10,000 brothers just sitting there. You're like, I don't want to go to Israel. that don't seem kosher at all. What's wrong with them? Right. Go ahead, bro.
And the ark of Yahweh was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do with the ark of Yahweh? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. And they said, If you send away the ark of the Elohim of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then you shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him?
Wait a minute. These other folks talking about trespass offering. They know they done trespass. We do something wrong and we just want to get past it. Even when we start talking about it.
All right, now we done talked about that. Let's not talk about it no more. It's over now. Let's just move on.
Don't you think we ought to deal with that?
Well, we dealt with it because we're talking about it. Now let's not talk about it.
How is that making restitution for the things that were done wrong? Trespass offering. How is it that heathen can bring that up, but not us? We think our trespass offering is that we talk.
It was a trespass for me to mention what I had done wrong. So that was my trespass offering by letting you mention it. You have mentioned it. Now let's not mention it anymore.
Right. Go ahead, bro.
They answered, 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice.
Wait a minute. You gonna make an image of the stuff that's making us itch? Go ahead.
according to the number of the masters of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all, and on your masters. Wherefore you shall make images of your emerods, and images of your mice that mar the land. And you shall give glory unto the Elohim of Israel. Peradventure, he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land.
Right. This right here would make me automatically, if your God came and beat up my God, and then I got to make an offering to your God, so your God will stop beating up my God. My next thing was, okay, what I need to do to serve your God again? Because your God just tore my God up. It's hard for me, to worship my God in sincerity after he just got beat up like that. See, that what happened when them dudes be like tough and they be slapping around on women, pow, pow. And then he get beat up, that girl be like,
You wasn't tough when James came by here. You was hitting up on me. Why don't you hit up on him? He slammed your face right into that wall.
it's hard to play tough in front of her now. Right. Go ahead.
Wherefore then do you harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts, when he had wrought wonderfully among them? Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milk kine.
Make a new cart. Okay? Even if you're going to do something and deal with the God of Israel, it don't need to be something you just grabbed out the back of your house. Something you done used before. That's the kind of stuff we'll offer unto Yahweh.
I'm done with this. I use this in my house. Here, I won't donate this.
We don't want that. Go ahead.
on which there has come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the Ark of Yahweh, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of the gold, which you return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go. And see, if it goes up by the way of his own coast to Beth Shemesh, then he has done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home.
Shut up their calves at home so they don't have any reason to go any other direction. You want to take away all the opportunity for them to divert. And let's see what they do. Go ahead.
And they laid the Ark of Yahweh upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of their emerods. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Beth Shemesh, and went along the way, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the masters of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Beth Shemesh. And they of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes, and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Yahshua a Bethshemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone. And they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kine a burnt offering unto Yahweh. And the Levites took down the Ark of Yahweh, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrificed sacrifices the same day unto Yahweh. And when the 5 masters of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emerods which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering unto Yahweh, for Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Askelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines, belonging to the 5 masters, both of fenced cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, wherein they set down the Ark of Yahweh, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Yahshua the Bethshemite. And he smote the men of Beth Shemesh, because they had looked into the Ark of Yahweh. Even he smote of the people 50,000 and 70 men.
Because they looked in it. Now, how many of the heathen did you read about looked in it? Here's the problem. We folks already know what's in it. So the people who knew what was in it was the one who looked in it. The people who didn't know, who didn't have to know what was in it, They ain't looking. This is where people say, oh, I want to know this. I want to know that. It don't stop you from getting killed. People think if they know this or if they know more about that, you think they didn't know what was in? This is old time for us to find out. We know what was placed in the ark. What the hell you looking for? It wasn't that they didn't know. But see, that's us. Knowing don't help us. What are you looking for? It was disrespectful. Heathen didn't even do it. But here we go. We're going to do it. Go ahead.
And the people lamented because Yahweh had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter.
Great slaughter. Didn't have no name. Wasn't no name for the slaughter. Yahweh didn't give them, they didn't keep popping up on the news, telling them how many thousand died today. Go ahead.
And the men of Beth Shemesh said, who is able to stand before this holy Yahweh Elohim? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath Yearim, saying, the Philistines have brought again the Ark of Yahweh. Come you down and fetch it up to you.
So the Philistines fight Israel and win, but don't want the stuff that bring them to power because of the judgment that comes along with it. Normally, that's the first thing you take. If you control a people, you go and get that thing that they hold of value. They say, no, you can have this thing back. Go ahead.
And the men of Kiriath Yearim came and fetched up the Ark of Yahweh and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the Ark of Yahweh. And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kiriath Yearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after Yahweh. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if you do return unto Yahweh with all your hearts.
Now hold on. And it came to pass while the ark abode in Kiriath Yearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years. And all the house of Israel lamented after Yahweh. Now, this is the sort of thing now that Samuel is going to be exalted in. Go ahead.
And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if you do return unto Yahweh with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you.
We say the same thing today. Ashtaroth is the worship of the fertility goddess, and they're doing the same thing today. They call it Easter. That's what the Easter egg is all about. It's about sperm going to fertilize the egg. And then we dress the kids up in white, being little boy sperm, little girl sperm, that run around and try to fertilize the egg. And we done made a nice little kid celebration out of sperm meeting the egg. He said, turn to Elohim with your whole heart. You might want to listen to this because we're going to have to say all this over again. Hebrews, Christians, whatever you want to call where we done been, we do the same thing. You got Hebrews call Yahweh name. They do all of this stuff. Got every idol under the sun. Worship everything.
Well, I keep this from my Christian days. I keep this one because, I used to be a Muslim, so this is, a memento from my Muslim days. Oh, and I used to be a Buddhist, so I got all the chakras.
That's what Yahweh gonna do. He gonna chakra you. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
And prepare your hearts unto Yahweh, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and
right, they
Ashtaroth.
put away Lord and Ashtaroth, the worship of the fertility goddess. The same thing we have a problem with today. Go ahead.
And served Yahweh only.
Serve the Yahweh only. See, that's the key. That's where we make the mistake at. We'll serve Yahweh, but we're going to serve ourselves and serve some other things too. But remember, it says Yahweh is a very jealous Elohim. So when Yahweh come to your house and he see the commandments on the wall and he said, okay, my servant has put on their wall the commandments of their Elohim. And then the angel take 2 more steps and said, okay, what cat, woman, and dog father doing here? Now them commandments that you had hanging on the wall, now you just diminish those by the picture of cat, woman, and dog father that you got. Go ahead.
You know, sometimes it's just the reality of things. You know, people say, oh, well, he's the creator of all things. Well, why would he be jealous? All right, now turn around and put yourself as a parent with a child, and you see your child run to your brother or sister and hug them and squeeze them and want to stay with them more than they want to stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel?
Right. Yeah, they run up and hug them, and you come home and they be like,
Mama, your husband here.
what the hell? You talking about that dude who keep the lights on, right? The dude who paid for this place. You talking about what? And I got what?
Your husband here, him downstairs.
What? Go ahead, bro.
And Samuel said, gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I'll pray for you unto Yahweh. And they gathered together to Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before Yahweh, and fasted on that day, and said there, we have sinned against Yahweh. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpah, the masters of the Philistines went up against Israel.
Now, hold on. They fasted, but you notice they fasted after they stopped worshiping the other God. We fast and keep on doing the stuff that we were doing before.
I'm going to fast and Yahweh going to hear me.
But ain't you still doing the stuff that you were doing before the fast?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. You didn't stop nothing. You just stopped eating. And you're going to start that same stuff as soon as you stop eating. There was something that went along with the fast. We just do the fast. We forget the stuff that's supposed to be accompanied with that. Go ahead.
And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, cease not to cry unto Yahweh, our Elohim, for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. And Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it for a burnt offering holy unto Yahweh. And Samuel cried unto Yahweh for Israel, and Yahweh heard him.
Right. It matters who you get to pray for you. But see, we like to go get our friends. See, your friend in worship, you will. You try and get them to pray for you, you need to be praying for your friend. You like, well, I'm in trouble. They in worse trouble than you. They just smiling when they saw you. Go ahead.
And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But Yahweh thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and smote them until they came under Beth-kar.
And this happened because, not just because of the fast, because they have walked away from the other things that they were doing, becoming a point of jealousy for Yahweh. So they walked away from serving the other gods, then they fasted, turning their heart unto Yahweh, their Elohim. Now, here comes the prayer of Samuel. You don't think Samuel wanted to pray for them that whole 20 years? See, there's multiple things that have to happen. Yeah, it matters who you get to pray for you, but you also have to do something yourself. You can't keep doing all the foolishness and say, well, this time I'm going to get a bigger man to pray for me. Yeah, but you kept doing the same thing. Don't matter who prayed for you, you kept doing the same thing. So here it is. You got Samuel after Yahweh walked away from King Saul. Yahweh like, man, I don't want it. Man, I heard you concerning Saul, man. Don't stop talking to me about Saul. I don't want to talk about him. So it don't matter that the greatest prophet of that time spoke for King Saul. King Saul didn't do what he was supposed to do. So a prayer for him wasn't going to help him. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shin,
All right.
and called the name of it Ebenezer,
That's the name of the song, a stone, right?
saying, Hitherto has Yahweh helped us.
So what does Ebenezer mean? Stone of help. This is the kind of stuff our churches used to be named after. Not just a place, and our people at that time knew we needed help. Go ahead.
So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of Yahweh was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto Gath. And the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites.
So when Israel worships Yahweh and serves Yahweh with their whole heart, all this stuff came back. Why is that confusing to us? Everything that was taken away, if you take care of your business, he gives it back. The earth and the fullness therein belongs to Yahweh. Everything that you thought you had, he got something else, either better than that. The earth is his. You thought what you had was
One of a kind. There ain't nothing like it nowhere else in the world.
do right by Yahweh.
You're like, oh, it's another one better than the one I had.
Right. He kind of owned the whole earth. He'll take something from somebody else and give it to you. My servant need this. Wait a minute. Okay. Go ahead.
And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and judged Israel in all those places.
Right. To the point where when he showed up in some of them places, they was like, oh, great. Shalom, Miss Samuel. Why are you here? Hey, how you doing? Why are you here, though? Have you come to pronounce judgment upon this city? Because I got my kids packing right now. We about to get the hell out of here. What's going on? The other people be all happy to see the prophet. Our people was asking questions when the prophet came to town. Why are you here? Absolutely awesome man. Love to hear about you. Kind of trouble though while you here. Go ahead.
And his return was to Ramah, where there was his house. And there he judged Israel. And there he built an altar unto Yahweh.
All right, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 5. See, great things have been given unto Israel, but there is also a great expectation of how Israel is going to walk because of this great thing that was given unto Israel. We can't just play the Israelite pep rally game. Well, we're going to yell out what tribe we belong to and put on our pretty Hebrew Oshkosh Begosh outfits and think that Yahweh going to deal with us because we look pretty. There's expectation, man. I open up my lively oracles unto you. You have to consider that as you walk. 2 Samuel chapter 5, and let's start that at verse 1.
Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, you was he that led out and brought it in Israel.
Right. You was already working just like every other situation. That Yahweh has one leader and he's moving to the next one. The next one was already working. He didn't go find nobody, go scour the earth. They was already working. When the situation came to deal with the transfer of power between Saul and David had already been working. The people had already recognized Yahweh is with him. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said to you, You shall feed my people Israel, and you shall be a captain over Israel.
What was said to Cephas? You love me? Feed my sheep. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, And King Dawid made a league with them in Hebron before Yahweh, and they anointed Dawid king over Israel. Dawid was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Yehudah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 and 3 years over all Israel and Yehudah.
Right. Verse 4, Dawid was 30 years old when he began to reign. Yahshua received his baptism at 30 and began his ministry as a priest. Yahshua was called the son of Dawid. Yahweh is doing some things in conjunction, whether we understand it at the time that they are happening or not. It is of no consequence to him. But he has an order to the things that he's doing. There's certain things that is going to happen in your life, and Yahweh has already decreed what time that's going to be. And you can pray, and you can sing and dance, and you can do all that, and then you've been forgot about it and said, well, I ain't going to ask no more because Yahweh ain't heard me. And then 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, 2 years from now, boom, hey, man, there it is. I done stopped praying. Now you give it to me? Yeah, because I had already decreed what time it was going to show up. Go ahead.
You know, with Dawid, with the 30 years old, eventually the priesthood would be merged into his lineage.
So he was already dealing with some things. Yahweh is dealing with some things that he ain't even explained yet. Go ahead.
And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto Dawid, saying, Except you take away the blind and the lame, you shall not come in hither, thinking, Dawid cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, Dawid took the stronghold of Zion, the same as the city of Dawid. And Dawid said on that day, Whosoever gets up to the gutter, and smiteth the Jebusites, and the lame and the blind, that are hated of Dawid's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So Dawid dwelt in the fort, and called in the city of Dawid. And Dawid built round about from Millo and inward. And Dawid went on, and grew great, and Yahweh Elohim of hosts was with him. And Hiram king of Tyre sent messengers to Dawid, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built Dawid an house.
Right, and a lot of times, man, you know, you have to go into rich folk houses before you find them cedar closets. You find out that stuff they put in them cedar closets, boy, last. So we read about the cedar trees. I don't think we understand. Go ahead.
And Dawid perceived that Yahweh had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom over his people Israel for Israel's sake. And Dawid took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to Dawid. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shammua, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Slomo, Ibhar also, and Elishua, and Nebhag, and Yaphia, and Elishama, and Eliadad, and Eliphalet. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed Dawid king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek Dawid, and Dawid heard of it and went down to the hold.
Right. So as Yahweh has increased Dawid, he has increased his house. Not that Yahweh gave him specifically these wives or concubines. Yahweh let him have whatever he wanted to have. Now, what he told him when he went and got that wife that he wasn't supposed to get, he said, I gave you your master's house and your master's wives. That I did give to you. But if you had wanted more, all you had to do was ask. I would have gave you whatsoever you had asked. Why? Because he was a servant of Yahweh. The earth belongs to Yahweh. Other people can have something. Yahweh's servants say, I want that. You might say, but yeah, that belonged to somebody. And then you look up and they just, well, they gone. It don't belong to nobody no more. Come on over here and go home with him. What? Yahweh, king over the earth, this is. He give whatever the hell he want to whoever he want. And ain't nothing nobody can say about it. Go ahead.
The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And Dawid inquired of Yahweh, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Will you deliver them into mine hand? And Yahweh said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into your hand. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David smote them there, and said, Yahweh has broken forth upon mine enemies before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burnt them. And the Philistines came up yet again, and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim.
And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. There's some things that's hanging on our wall that should be set afire. But as it is written, we don't hide our sin. We declare it. We have a doggone idol on the wall and then invite people to come in our house.
Hey, how you doing? Come on and sit down.
Like they're not going to recognize, ain't that a damn idol right there? We so bold, we turn around and invite the people and let them see the idol. Like they ain't got some stuff. No, that's an idol hanging on that wall. Go ahead, bro.
And when David inquired of Yahweh, he said, You shall go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees.
Right. Yahweh giving them strategy. Go ahead.
And let it be, when you hear the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then you shall bestir yourselves, for then shall Yahweh go out before you to smite the host of the Philistines.
Yahweh shall go out before you. If you worship Yahweh, your Elohim, in the fullness thereof, Yahweh goes out before you. How you going to lose? So the key to your warfare is not how many push-ups you did when you went to the house, or how many bullets you bought, how many clips you preloaded. When Yahweh, your Elohim, is with you, everything they shoot at you going to miss. And they confused. I put 400 rounds of ammunition in there, and I swear I shot at him. I put that red dot on him. That red dot was right here. Not one of them hit him. I'm confused. Sure you are. Go ahead.
And David did so as Yahweh had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until you come to Gezer.
All right, jump to chapter 7.
2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the Ark of Elohim dwells within curtains.
I dwell in a house of cedar. Y'all don't understand how much of an expensive house that is. That's an awesome house. If you go back and look at some of those things, they would make the antebellum homes, slave homes, out of certain wood. Termites wouldn't touch them. Now, there's certain trees that are natural repellents of bugs. All you got to do is tell your woman, she's going to make sure you build a house out of that. That's it.
You mean tell me the bugs don't want to come in because
She's going to know what every last one of them trees. Cut that one. That one right there.
Ah, not that one. That one. Because I don't want no bugs in here.
Every bug in my house, I get a report. I get a full-fledged report when I get to the house. And it started with the littlest one there. Hey, Daddy, look, I killed an ant here. Okay, now, there was another bug, roach-like, right in the garage area. I found out that's first thing. This is how I'm greeted at the house. You know what I'm saying? I get the 24-hour bug report. Okay, and then the littlest one is like, okay, so I done told you where these bugs at. So what you gonna do about that? And that was just, they send the littlest one first. Because then after that, another one come.
Was you told that there was a bug?
Yes, I have heard that there was a bug. For I know it, here comes somebody else. Was you told? Yes, I received a bug report. Okay?
So what you gonna do about it?
Which reminds me, I got to spray when I get to the house. Go ahead, bro.
And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in your heart, for Yahweh is with you. And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant Dawid, Thus says Yahweh, Shall you build me an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle.
But you know what? He automatically wanted something better for Yahweh because of what he had. So wait a minute, man. I got a house of cedar. Do you understand what kind of value this is? My house got it going on. What does my Elohim? What? This is his seat. Why is it just between curtains? It didn't even feel right for him to magnify his house over Yahweh's house. You watch other people, they do the exact opposite. They try to magnify their house over Yahweh's house. There's something seriously wrong with that. Why was that even in your thought process? It automatically entered his thought process that I want something better for my Elohim based upon what I have for myself. Go ahead.
In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build you not me an house of cedar? Now therefore, so shall you say unto my servant Dawid, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with you whithersoever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight.
And I was with you whithersoever you went. That's why you won. Was his hands trained in war through the things that he's gone through? Yes. But that ain't why he won. He won because Yahweh was with him. Go ahead.
And have made you a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I'll appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And as since the time that I commanded the judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also Yahweh tells you that he will make you an house.
Also Yahweh tells you that he will make you a house. How you tell that he got the best house in town? He said, no, I'm going to build you a house. No, Yahweh, I'm going to build you a house. No, I'm going to build you a house. Yahweh, I already got one. Rather nice. Go ahead.
And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom.
Right. He ain't talking about Shlomo. So Yahweh is dealing with things double found at this point. Naturally, Shlomo gonna do some of this, but spiritually, Yahshua gonna do all this. Go ahead.
He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
But you can understand us dealing in the now, why we would think that's Shlomo. How rich Shlomo ended up being, all the wisdom that he had. You can see why our people during that time would have thought that that was Shlomo. But Yahweh talking about a whole nother level of stuff here. Go ahead.
I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit lawlessness, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before you.
Right. My mercy shall not depart away from him. He took his mercy from Shlomo. If he sinned, I'm going to discipline him. But I ain't going to take my mercy away from him. So it's something to be said about being a servant of Yahweh. That even when he deals with you, he may not deal with you in the full extent because of your servitude toward him. Because of your sacrifices toward Yahweh Elohim. Go ahead.
And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto Dawid. Then went King Dawid in and sat before Yahweh, and he said, Who am I, O Adonai, and what is my house that you have brought me hitherto? And this was yet a small thing in your sight, O Adonai, but you have spoken also of your servant's house for a great while to come.
Right. Throughout what's written in this book. Go ahead.
And is this the manner of man, O Adonai?
Will we even ask that question? Or will we begin to make a song and dance about ourselves? Or will we really ask, Yahweh, am I the manner of man? Are you sure? Go ahead.
And what can Dawid say more unto you? For you, Adonai, knoweth your servant.
Mm-hmm.
For your words spake, and according to your own heart.
For your word's sake, go ahead.
For your word's sake, pardon me, and according to your own heart, have you done all these great things to make your servant know them. Wherefore, you are great, O Yahweh Elohim, for there is none like you, neither is there any Elohim besides you, according to all that we have heard with our ears.
Mm-hmm.
And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel?
What one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel? Go ahead.
Whom Elohim went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible, for your land before your people, which you redeemeth to you from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. For you have confirmed to yourself your people Israel to be a people unto you forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you, Yahweh, are become their Elohim. And now, O Yahweh Elohim, the word that you have spoken concerning your servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as you have said. And let your name be magnified forever, saying, Yahweh of hosts is the Elohim of Israel, and let the house of your servant Dawid be established before you.
Mm-hmm.
For you, O Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, has revealed to your servant, saying, I will build you an house. Therefore has your servant found in his heart to pray this prayer unto you.
So Yahweh ends up leading you to a place so that you make a prayer that he wanted you to pray anyway. So he leads you to the place, same with Hannah, before she even makes this prayer or this vow for this son, who is Samuel, who is the one who anointed Dawid king. He allows some things to come in her life so that she then makes the prayer. Within the prayer, she makes the vow. Then the real game is started. So there's some prayers. Remember what it says. The Spirit makes supplication for us according to the Spirit and the need that we have. We praying about one thing. The Spirit said, no. They need this. Go ahead.
And now, O Adonai, you are that Elohim, and your words be true, and you have promised this goodness unto your servant. Therefore now let it please you to bless the house of your servant, that it may continue forever before you. For you, O Yahweh Elohim, have spoken it, and with your blessing let the house of your servant be blessed forever.
Right, and do understand, as Dawid was told that he could not build a house. You read later, and Shlomo says, he wouldn't let my father build a house because of the many wars that my father had fought and the blood that he had shed. But you know what he did? He prepared, made all the preparations for his son to build a house. See, he was stacking up, storing up all of the things that was going to be needed to build a house, so that his son would have everything needed to take care of that business. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 1.
Second Peter chapter 1 and verse 1. Simeon Peter, a servant and an apostle of Yahshua HaMashiach, to them that have obtained like precious faith with us through the righteousness of Elohim and our Savior, Yahshua HaMashiach. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you through the knowledge of Elohim and of Yahshua, our Adonai, according as his divine power has given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge and of him that has called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness.
The Spirit worketh patience. See, we start doing what we need to do to provide for Yahweh's house, to do the things of Yahweh's house, and then we find that these things end up being added unto us without us seeking them out. Then there are those that seek these things and can't never find them because they went in the wrong order. Go ahead.
You know, as you look at this, it's a constant stepping stone. Some people get to one point and then they just stop, and I'm comfortable there.
Yeah, I'm done.
It's a constant adding. You
yeah.
add this, you get to this point, you add that. You strive for that. You strive for that.
Yeah, you're right, brother. You see, when folks say, you know, I keep it real, I'm the same as I always been. All that mean to me is you ain't never changed. And without change, there is no growth. If you still doing everything that you was doing pretty much before you came in the word, I can pretty much tell you that you ain't growing at all. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And to godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, love. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that you shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach. But he that lacks these things is blind and cannot see afar off, and has forgotten that he was purged from his old sins.
He has forgotten that he was purged from his old sins? How did he forget? Because he went right back into doing the same things. Go ahead.
Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, you shall never fall. For so an entrance shall be ministered unto you abundantly into the everlasting kingdom of our Adonai and Savior, Yahshua HaMashiach. Wherefore I will not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things, though you know them, and be established in the present truth. Yes, I think it meet, as long as I am in this tabernacle, to stir you up by putting you in remembrance, knowing that shortly I must put off this my tabernacle, even as our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach has showed me.
Right. I must leave this body. I must rest. But I do these things so that I can be faithful to him that sent me. But my days are approaching. Go ahead.
Moreover, I will endeavor that you may be able, after my decease, to have these things always in remembrance. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty.
Right, and we need to consider how many of us have fallen victim to carefully devised fables. Sounded good. Go ahead.
For he received from Elohim the Father honor and glory, when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And this voice which came from heaven we heard, when we were with him in the holy mount. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well that you take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts.
Right, the morning star. Understand, when they talk about they have no need of the sun, for he is there. He was the light in the beginning. One of the brothers had sent something out, and I had meant to go to it, where they were talking about something happening on the sun and doing all of these things. I think some of that is a smokescreen for what they're going to do, because this word said he going to bring the sun and make it 7 times hotter. They said it's going to get cooler. But then you start noticing all these strange clouds. Have y'all noticed that there are clouds above the clouds? The clouds look 3D the other day. I felt like I was looking at that old Scooby-Doo viewfinder I used to have. And you look it right at the thing, and he had the cotton candy, and he licked it all over, and it was in 3D. Y'all ain't never had? I was the only one that had that. Well, look, you had, okay. I ain't the only one that had a viewfinder now. All right, all right. Now, I'm looking, and these clouds, if you notice, they're extremely low. It almost looked like you can stick your hand up at the cloud, then you look up, and there's a whole nother level of cloud above that. And I mean, these things just sit here. They don't move with the wind. They just sit there. Same cloud, and it's too many of them. I mean, it's barely a break in between them. They everywhere, all over. Where all these clouds come from? Ain't a drop of rain in the sky, but it's clouds everywhere. And I mean, quite honestly, it's just sitting there hovering, looking like some kind of virus that they have put together. And I noticed those clouds look different in different parts of town. See, I'll be in one part of town, then I'll get to another part of town where it's real thick in the hood. The clouds look different. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 20. Knowing this verse, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of Elohim spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit.
All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Revelation chapter 22.
Revelations chapter 22 and verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life.
Right, the thing that the adversary, the devil, didn't taunt us with that one. The tree of life was right amongst the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But look at what he taunts us with. Same thing destroying us now. I wanted to know more, so I went over here. Right. You walk right past the tree of life to try to go over there and pick something from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And once we learn some so-called new knowledge, what did it do? Separate us from Yahweh our Elohim. Same thing people doing now. Seeking out everything, having itching ears, and by the time you find out, you look up and find out you have just gotten further and further from Yahweh your Elohim. The tree of life was the one we were supposed to be seeking after. We're going after the wrong tree. Still. How we still going after the wrong tree? Somebody trying to lure you to the tree of knowledge. You supposed to be saying, no, I want the tree of life. I don't want that tree. That tree is what brought us into all this confusion. Show me where the tree of life at. Because I eat from that, I don't never die. You trying to lead me to the tree of knowledge. That got us separated from Yahweh. And here we go, still trying to do it. I only want the knowledge that's going to help me get to the right tree. I get that tree, I never die. That's what I want. But Lucifer knew which tree to taunt us with. How you gonna taunt us with the tree of life? He didn't want us to live forever. So he wanted us to eat from the other tree. He knew what it was going to do. Makes you feel empowered first. Oh, I know some stuff that I didn't know before. Oh, I'm empowered. And then here you go on your way down. And he used the knowledge to do it. So be very careful. Go ahead.
Verse 2. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations.
Right. Man, power has to change on the earth. The earth is darn near destroyed because of how the heathen has overworked it and tried to control every bit of its resources. When you have corporations saying that they own seeds, it is time for Yahweh to come and do some business. How you going? My book said Yahweh made that. How does a company have, rights to a seed? I was looking at some television program and they put this little movie thing together where they have these hybrid seeds and they put them in one farm. They was giving them out to people, but then the hybrid seed, of course, the wind blow and it go to the next farm. They then come and tell the people that they have to pay because the wind blew their seed over into that farm, and next thing you know, they were taking the people's farm because they own the seed, saying that you're using our product, so we need half of your farm. And they went about taking all of these people things because of this hybrid seed they done made, and then say that they own. Now, it takes over the other people's field, whether they plant it or not. Yahweh needs to come, and the sons of Elohim must be manifested, because if this keeps going, we're not going to have no earth. Go ahead.
And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For the Adonai Elohim gives them light, and they shall reign forever and ever.
Right. But see, what the Pope them say, they said they're the venerable day of the sun. See, they worshiping the sun. Yahweh said, you ain't gonna have no need of the sun. They worshiping the thing. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, these sayings are faithful and true. And the Adonai Elohim of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done. Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keeps the sayings of the prophecy of this book. And I, Yohanan, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then says he unto me, see you do it not, for I am your fellow servant, and of your brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship Elohim.
Worship Elohim. Don't bow down and worship me. See that you do it not. Go ahead.
And he says unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still.
Right. There's some people that no matter what you say to them, no matter what word you bring them, it is never going to change their actions. You have to learn that sometimes when you're speaking the word, you're not actually speaking the word to the person you're talking to. You're actually talking to the people who are within earshot. Go ahead.
And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be.
Right. Whatever you put off in the earth is the thing that you're going to get out of it. Go ahead.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life.
Wait a minute. See, now we're talking about something. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life. Now, what the heathen does is twist the thing around so that people will believe that they still doing the commandments. When this old lady asked me, what church you go to? I said, this is about to get interesting. I said, we keep the Sabbath.
She said, we keep Sabbath too. We just keep it on Sunday.
Man, it was so hard, man. I was trying not to, you know what I'm saying? She had that wig on crooked. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, man, I want to attack you. I was like, here, wear this purple. Put this purple on. I'll get you. But I just couldn't. I got a little soft. You know what I'm saying? She, I keep the Sabbath. We keep it on Sunday. I said, excuse me? How you keep the Sabbath on Sunday? Oh man, and she had an anecdote for every last one of them things. You believe in God, don't you? Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's all the same.
The book says one name under heaven by which we shall.
Yahshua is just the Hebrew version of his name.
Oh yeah. So what's the English version of Saddam Hussein? But I need to just walk around with some purple. Here, put this on, and then I'm gonna attack you. But I couldn't do it with the old lady, man. I couldn't. I put some things out there, and I just had to. Today, boy, it just wasn't my day. It wasn't my day. But this is how people can have a plaque of the commandments and still not follow any of them and still feel justified. She telling me that we both keep the Sabbath. She said, you keep the Sabbath and I keep the Sabbath too. We are both Sabbath keepers. And she meant that. She believed in her own heart that she was keeping the Sabbath on Sunday. And she knew it was changed. I said, you do understand it was changed?
Yeah, I know that.
Go ahead, bro.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city.
Right. They have gates to the city. All right. See, people have indignation about how the city is set up, but still think they're going to go in the city. Keeping the commandments is what gives you the right to eat from the tree. That gives you the ability to live forever. Then there's gates to the city that are after the 12 tribes of Israel that come from the 4 wives of Jacob. They have indignation for how the city is built, but still think they're going to walk in the city. You can't get no dumber than that. You can't get no dumber than that. I got indignation with how the gates were set up, but let me walk through these gates. Boy, there's going to be so many people stuck at them gates. You think that little line at Walmart that they got with that 6 feet distance, you think that's something? Wait till you get to that gate. And find out all the people who got indignation for how the gate was set up, but still want to walk through the gate. Right. Read, man.
For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers.
Without, that's outside. So the dogs and the hoes outside. They're not walking in the city. They stuck at the gate. Go ahead.
And murderers and idolaters and whosoever loves and makes a lie.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The liars and whores and murderers are all in the same bucket. They all outside. Go ahead.
And Yahshua have sent mine angel. I, Yahshua, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star.
Who they would say is the day star. When you look at what Pharaoh would say, Pharaoh said he the sun. S-U-N. Remember, the pyramid is built for pristine worship of the sun. I don't think people understand what the pyramid was for. That is pristine sun worship. This is why every church, Christian church, had the 3 pyramid shapes in the front with the steeple on it. The whole thing was built in the worship of the sun, S-U-N. All those people worship another God and have no idea. Go ahead.
And the Spirit and the bride say, come. And let him that hears say, Come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. For I testify unto every man that hears the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add on to these things, Elohim shall add on to him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Elohim shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book.
Now, if you don't even consider that there is this book of life, and that your name can be taken out of it, you just think you can say a few choice words about Jesus and zip tang, you go to heaven. You are not even focusing on any of the things that are being written down in the book. So this is how the adversary, the devil, takes the whole story and changes it, even though they have the manuscript in front of them. You have people that's talking about going to heaven that won't talk to you, won't say nothing about any tree of life. They won't say anything about the two resurrections. All they talk about, zip tang, they die and they in heaven. That's it. Go ahead.
He which testifies these things says, Surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Adonai Yahshua.
He which testifies these things says, Surely I come quickly, so let it be. Amen. I agree. Go ahead.
The grace of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach be with you all. Amen.
All right. Amen and amen. The grace of our Adonai Yahshua the Mashiach be with you all. When we consider the expectation that Yahweh has for those who are called, that expectation is based upon the gift that we have received. And the children of Israel have received a great gift in knowledge and understanding when it comes down to this word. We have to consider the gross darkness that we were in before Yahweh called us out of it. There's some responsibility that goes along with that we need to consider and take heed to. I did want to remind you guys, next Friday night, the 22nd, is going to be New Moon. And then on the Sabbath, the 30th, we are then taking part in our Pentecost Feast of Weeks. So there are some emails that have already gone out. You need to take heed to those things if you plan on participating. That is all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.